Greetings! I'd like to get straight into a new investment. It's called Evolution Energy Minerals, ticker EV1, and it's focused on graphite. Now, just to recap why I'm kind of doing this, I'm looking to invest my excess wealth or additional wealth into energy transition investments. Graphite is a key input into battery production. In fact, the overwhelming majority of it, which I'll show later. And I'm looking to share my experiences and get feedback. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, investing in smaller, higher risk companies, trying to carefully select them with a view to building enhanced wealth going forwards to, let's say, attain not just financial freedom, but have very healthy financial freedom. And I hope this is obviously not financial advice, but I hope everyone else within their portfolios achieves the same sort of objective. So now I'll be reading from my slides and I'll put them up on the screen as well. Why do I like Evolution Energy Minerals? Now, for a start, they've been around a while. They IPO'd, I think, a couple of years ago, perhaps around 20 cents, but they've had the unfortunate experience of the slump in battery metals, the low sentiment, and that's made it difficult for them to finance at higher rates. And with that, if your stock or company is out of vogue and there perhaps have been some delays, it really depresses your price, your ability to raise at higher rates. So I think EV1 kind of sits in that category, and therefore, as well as the company specifics, which I'll go into, I'm also looking at this as a very, very interesting price entry. Keeping in mind that there was recently a cap raise around, from memory, was it 3.4, 3.5 cents, or was it about $4 million at maybe it was 4 cents, I can't remember, sorry, it's flipped, but at that low level, and currently the share price is washing that raise through and close to around 3 cents. So I've entered just over that, and let's see why. So here's the first slide. Now, first of all, it's in Tanzania. The resource is in Tanzania. That's Africa. It's quite a neutral country from that perspective. It's ex-China, which is a plus with respect to the graphite resource. So that's one of the attractions. It's got a very, very attractive NPV and IRR. What is really nice, there are already binding offtake agreements in place, so it's advanced in that perspective. They're looking to make a decision early 2025. They've got a strategic partnership with the global #1 anode producer BTR, and also the same company part of the offtake arrangements. So by the way, binding offtake, as I mentioned, and they're progressing a downstream strategy. Now, this is an interesting one where they're looking to establish refining and supply in the US itself and that will comply with the current IRA. Now, I know there's uncertainty around the politics, but in essence, if you're ex-China and looking to make a resource and looking to make substantial investment in the US, I can only imagine that whatever a government or administration you have, that would be welcome. So yeah, those are the high level things. I think it's quite impressive. Also, I've been watching snapshots of the company in terms of what they're doing on a social level, and they're actually in resettlement, in investing in local communities, they're making a lot of progress. And they've also got this special mining framework agreement, I think they call it, with the government in place as well. So compared to a lot of other companies, this one has made quite a bit of progress. good NPV, binding offtake in place, all the environmental stuff done, social things happening, special mining frameworks or whatever you have to sign with the government in place, strategic investors on board, in particular BTR as I mentioned. So yeah, I'm interesting to hear, am I missing something? So feedback please. Now here's a really nice graphic that they have in a presentation. It shows you the amount of graphite that's needed in the battery process. It's significant. So it's not just lithium and cobalt and manganese and what have you. One of the big base within the setup and pack is graphite. Okay, so summarizing again, their output from their definitive feasibility study. So again, at least the production process part of it in Tanzania, they have a DFS. So again, that's more progress. They have a DFS, and as well as the other things I've listed. So what am I missing in terms of its depressed stock price? I think it's down to a market value of 8 million Australian dollars or something like that. With the upside you have here, yeah, what am I missing? What am I missing? Now, also the company's given a pretty good update on the status of project financing. So we're past the DFS and we're past all those milestones. We're past the offtake, and we've done another fundraising, 4 million Australian dollars, to get to the next stage. And now the company's looking to push ahead with its project financing. You can see these things ticked off on the right. The IT's, I think it's engineering, and IESC's environmental reports done. Now this other one, mandate lead arranging financing, they've also appointed, I think it's Treadstone Partners, see that in another slide later. So that's another tick in their pursuit of debt financing. So I'm expecting they're well advanced with discussions and presenting their project, and because they've got quite a lot of pieces in place. Okay, and they have this offtake strategy. I've read this a few times, and I've read background to it a few times. You have to forgive me. I'm still learning about coarse flake and fine flake, lower level value, higher level value. I still need to do some research on that. Maybe that's where my weakness is. But again, they have an offtake strategy in place. You see these companies listed. Yes, there is a China connection, but my understanding is even in the current form of the IRA, it's compliant. And even in future, as I mentioned, as long as you're investing, if you're targeting the US, but you're investing and taking capital to the US, and perhaps you're using Chinese tech and know-how, I think that's a win-win from the perspective of the US. Why not? Why reinvent? So I still think there is risk, but there's still a good opportunity for this setup to move ahead in the US on the refining and end product production to happen there. But these are big companies that are involved, so that in itself is impressive. That's another tick. Just summarizing BTR's profile, a quick flash here on who his customers are, and you've got the main one that sort of jumps out to me, at least, is Tesla. So it's good that there is that connection there. And this vertical integration strategy, I've been talking about it, but obviously this is a far more finessed way of saying it's vertical integration strategy. Yeah, they have a it doesn't look easy. There's different moving parts and different financing, and I think the investment in the US part, there still has to be the technical studies to move sort of that forwards. Um, but I think that's underway. We'll look in the timeline later where we are with that. So key catalysts. Key catalysts that we're looking for this year. Delivering on more project optimizations. That's nice if they can do that over and above the DFS. Introducing strategic investors partners. I think that's kind of been ongoing, and in their recent cap raise, there's been input from strategic and sophisticated investors, which it should be positive most of the time. The more news on the project financing, as I mentioned, and then yes, the downstream scoping study, site selection, and partnerships there. So these are the catalysts. Let's see how they move on with these items. They're funded to do it, and I think they've ticked off a lot of milestones from our perspective. So I got a few pieces from the news. So Shaw and Partners, one broker, has a new price target now for the company of 0.24 Australian dollars or 24 Australian cents. Once again, I think the company came to market in its IPO at 20 cents. Hit by perhaps, I'll have to track back on the timeline, but perhaps hit by some delays. Perhaps hit by the slump in the sentiment on battery metals, and therefore anytime raisings have been done, it's kind of more and more dilution. So that's the story, and hence at the current rate, if you consider we're in a low, that's why I've come in at this level despite the reduction and fall. And the other news, as I mentioned before, Treadstone Resource Partners appointed to help represent the needs on the investment and financing side. So that's the story. I think definitely graphite is important. The diversification of the sources and also the refining of it. I think the world is highly dependent on China for it. And this particular company, as I said, it's an introduction today. I'm looking for feedback. They've ticked off a lot of milestones there, and in addition to that, I've looked at their releases on social media and other news items on their website. They've really made significant progress on the environmental and social side practically, and you see that. It's a serious thing, and any company that can do the local things well, for me, that's normally what impedes and slows down a lot of companies. They're struggling with many of the local things, but it seems EV1 has that under control. So here's to a great weekend. Here's to building long-term wealth, financial freedom, so that we have more ability and more capacity to invest in things that are closer to our hearts, like investing in the energy transition or investing in some social project or something. That's the whole idea, and having that peace of mind, long-term financial freedom. Thank you for watching. Look forward to the feedback. Graphite, here we come.